if you're going to stand on business, let's really stand on business, if you catch my drift. Welcome into the Hard Count. This is the People's College Football Show. College football and nothing but every single day of the year, live 3 times a week as we are right now, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 11 a.m. Eastern. It is, of course, Thursday, November 16th, 2023. Final thoughts, final predictions Thursday for Week 12 of the college football season, and we have got a ton to jump into. A lot of people are going to say, the slate's not so good this weekend. Don't listen to those people. They're jabbering on, saying whatever they want to say, trying to tell you that it doesn't matter this weekend. I promise you, we will get in here on Sunday morning, and there will be a lot of things that have happened from this past Saturday that will impact the rest of the college football landscape going forward. As we always do on every single Thursday, going to give you our upset forecast for the week. I don't know if it's a super loaded upset forecast, but there's still some cells to keep an eye on when it comes to some potential upsets across the college football landscape. Also, so much talk right now in the coaching carousel circles with jobs may be opening up, jobs that are already open, coaches that could be getting the axe after this upcoming weekend. And a name that is getting thrown around a lot and will continue to get thrown around a lot for good reason is Deion Sanders. And everyone thinks that they have Deion Sanders pegged. He put out a graphic the other day talking about how basically he's in Colorado, he's here, which from where I'm standing was his way of saying I'm not going anywhere. Even so, his name will continue to get thrown around. So what do we make of this? And also, here's the thing for us. What is Coach Prime's next move? Is he going to leave Boulder anytime soon? Is he there for good? He going to just kind of build a powerhouse in the Big 12 when they get there? We'll give you our thoughts on that, give you our overall feelings on where we stand there. Also, the Heisman Trophy now. We don't talk about it a ton until we get into November, and we are very firmly now in the home stretch of that race. C.J. Stroud, I believe it was on Tom Brady's podcast, came out and said, if Marvin Harrison Jr. doesn't win the Heisman Trophy, the thing's rigged. Does he have a point? We put our thoughts out actually already on the social media on how we feel about that. What is Marvin Harrison Jr.'s chances to win it? Should he win it? Should somebody else win it? Also, who will win it? Because I think that race, I don't know if it's decided just yet, but there's a pretty clear path for one individual. And is that Marvin Harrison Jr.? I don't know. We'll talk about it here in just a minute. We'll give you our final thoughts as we always do. Before we do that, though, we got to talk about Eli Drinkwitz and what he said postgame after they beat the brakes off Tennessee. We'll do that here in just a second. First things first, though, make sure you're subscribed right here to the On3 YouTube channel, talking college football, only college football every single day. As we move now into this final stretch of the season, really important that we do it together. All right, got to lock arms. We're all in the foxhole now. We're rolling through November to December, all the way to the college football playoff, the national championship game. We're not going to stop talking about this game, about this beautiful sport that we love. We celebrate it here. We don't do the whole hot takes here. We don't do agendas here. Like, it's ball and only ball right here on this platform. You love college football just like we do, and that's how we talk about it. So make sure you're following on the socials to stay with all that we got going on here. A lot of interaction. We're going to try and involve y'all into the show as much as possible via those social platforms. So Twitter, Instagram, @JDPikel, the best way to do that, and we appreciate y'all so much for it. Okay, let's hit the reset button now. It is Final Thoughts Thursday. Let's attack it together. Thursday, November 16th, 2023, the last one in history. Let's make it a great one. Let's do so right now, talking some college football. A tape came out yesterday of Eli Drinkwitz being wired for sound after they beat the brakes off Tennessee. So he gets to midfield, and he says to Josh Heupel as they shake hands, shaking hands is probably even a generous term to put to it, he says, "We stand on business, Josh." And I don't have an issue with what he said, but the delivery of what he said drew a lot of different reactions from across the college football social media landscape. And we got to give you our thoughts on this as a whole right now. So to start with this, what does it mean to stand on business? It's a fair question. Essentially, what that is, it's a phrase that means we handle business. We stand on what we're doing here. We are basically standing on the result that we have here at Missouri. It's kind of Missouri's thing right now. It's essentially saying like, hey, we're about this. It's essentially saying we are about it. We're about the business that we're handling. So how do we feel about this? The way that we feel about trash talk on the show, and we've said it a couple times when it comes to Colorado and what they were doing and Oregon and that game, and like we stand by the Ricky Bobby rule here when it comes to talking trash and talking trash in college football. Winners do what they want. That's the Ricky Bobby rule. If you win the football game, if you dominate the way that Missouri did against Tennessee, you can say we stand on business. We can say we're the big dog. We can say whatever we want if we're Eli Drinkwitz and we throttle Tennessee the way that we did. Like, I have no issue with that. And some people say, well, that's poor sportsmanship, JD. No, it's not. It's college football. It is a highly competitive environment. These are all grown men playing this sport. I understand we got college students, but still, they're all adults. They all understand what they're doing here. And this wasn't just a one-sided beef, too. I mean, you remember back to last year, Josh Heupel punched one more score in the end zone there with 30 seconds left to go to make it a 66-point, not victory, but they scored 66. I think it was 66 to 20-something. Like, Josh Heupel also has his fair share of this whole beef to be shared. I don't think the beef is bad either. Like, it's college football. It's what we love about this sport. The emotion, like all that's baked into this. So I don't have a problem that Eli Drinkwitz is talking his cash after they got back against Tennessee with them running it up last year. Like, it's fine. It's a part of it. It's not poor sportsmanship. It's Eli Drinkwitz saying, hey, we stand on what we're doing here. We stand on business. So I have no issue with the content of the message. I support the content of the message because Missouri, the way that they won that game, left no doubt. It wasn't a thing where Missouri caught a couple breaks. Like, if they played that game 10 times, Missouri's winning 9 or 10 of them. Just kind of the fact of the matter. I'm great with the content of the message. But the delivery of that message, if we're just going to be 100% honest on here, it was lame. It was a lame way to deliver that message. You can't say, we stand on business, and then say it under your breath as you, like, lean away, don't give eye contact. Like, it was a half a second handshake, and that's fine. We knew it was going to be a half second handshake. But to not say that directly to Josh Heupel struck a kind of funny chord with me. And a lot of people, when we tweeted out our thoughts on that, we, tweeted the video and said, you can't say you're standing on business and not really stand on business when you actually deliver that message. Say, well, what do you want him to do? You want him to swing? I mean, you want him to just square up and shove him? No, I don't want him to square up and do anything physical, but I do want us to have a message that matches the delivery of the message. Standing on business, saying, hey, we're about it. Okay, let's be about it then when we're delivering that trash talk. And also when it comes to trash talk, like, half the fun, half of the talking trash is watching your opponent's reaction. Like, I would so much rather have seen Eli Drinkwitz say, we stand on business, Josh. Shake the hand. Let's hold the handshake, too, and make sure that we heard what was said if we're Josh Heupel. And then we'll go back to our sideline and we'll let what transpires after that transpire. You just dominated this game. Let's talk trash like we dominated this game. Don't do the whole under the breath, like, sort of peel away as we shake the hand. That just looks lame. It is lame. And you want to know why I think this is lame is because I promise, I shouldn't say I promise. I have a very, very strong feeling that Josh Heupel heard what Eli Drinkwitz said the same time as the rest of us did. Like, based on the reaction, based on, like, that moment, it was such a bang, bang moment where, like, I don't even think Josh Heupel heard what Eli Drinkwitz said, which, again, kind of takes away from the talking trash element of what Eli Drinkwitz was saying. So, again, if we're Eli Drinkwitz, I don't want to just be totally down on this whole situation because you dominated that football game. My thought here is let's watch some tape now on the talking trash side of things. Let's get better. Let's learn from this. And, I mean, to be clear, they dominated Tennessee. Winners do what they want. Let's watch the tape. Let's get better. And let's be a little bit more on our P's and Q's next time we talk trash. Because I don't think this rivalry, whether they play in several years, whether they play in 2 years, like whenever these guys match up again, if it's next year, it's next year. Like whenever they play again, there will be another volume to this rivalry. And I love it. I'm all about it. But when we stand on business, let's stand on business in the way that we talk trash too, would be my one thought there. But again, the Ricky Bobby rule, man. Winners do what they want. Keeping a good thing rolling now. Hey, appreciate everybody dialed in live right now. If you could like the video for us, we got a nice little tradition here rolling of 100 likes. Before we get off the air, if everyone who's watching right now hit a little thumbs up button under the picture, we'll be well over that. So we appreciate you so much in advance for that. Great news now. Prize Picks bringing y'all the hard count today. Redeem code JD for 100% deposit match up to $100. Every single Thursday now we give you our Prize Picks plays. And I told you on Tuesday during our first live show, hey, we let y'all down last week. It will not happen again. So right now, guaranteed winners, guaranteed flex play hitting, and we'll give you our picks right now. So we got Bo Nix. His number is half a rushing touchdown. Bo Nix is charging towards the Heisman Trophy, in my humble opinion. I mean, he's on that campaign right now. getting in the end zone for him, I feel like that's going to happen. So we're going to take the more there. And then Donovan Edwards, half rushing touchdown against Maryland. Maryland, they struggle to stop the run at different points this year. Donovan Edwards, it feels like whenever you get in the end zone, it starts coming in bunches. He's been in the end zone as of late, has Donovan Edwards. We're going to take the more there for his half a rushing touchdown number as well. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Y'all that have watched this show, y'all that have been a part of these prize pick segments, like you know this, we root for good things to happen to good people. We want to see good things happen to Bo Nix, to Donovan Edwards, to every single individual lacing them up this upcoming Saturday. We want to see y'all ball and accomplish your dreams. That's what we do here. We're a good vibes show, right? We're not going to be Johnny Raincloud on different things throughout the college football landscape. It's a lot of positivity and good vibes here. So, Colston Loveland, we support you, brother. We hope you ball. We hope you prove us wrong. However, I cannot shake the thought of Michigan not throwing a pass in the second half against Penn State. They may not have to throw many passes in the second half against Maryland. His number is 33.5 receiving yards. We took the more on Colston Loveland's receiving yards last week. It did not hit. So we're going to kind of 180 it right now. Go the less on Colston Loveland's receiving yards. It would not surprise me if the more were to hit there, but we're going to trust our judgment here and trust the identity of Michigan, who they've told us they are, and we'll take the less there. So we're going to flex play this now. Flex play, beautiful part about prize picks, means we don't have to have every single square hit for us to make some money. If all three hit, great. We make 2.25 our entry. Now, if only two of those hit, we make 1.25 our entry. Cannot stress this enough. If you make a play this upcoming weekend using prize picks and redeem our code, send that to me on Instagram. Tweet that at me. I want to make sure we spotlight y'all's wins together. A lot of program wins, if you will. And we appreciate Prize Picks making that happen. Again, redeem code JD. No periods in between there, just J and D for a 100% deposit match when you sign up. A great way to support the show. So we appreciate y'all so much in advance for doing that. All right, now let's move right along here. Every Thursday, we like to get out the forecast app and not the weather app. We like to get a good gauge for where the upsets may potentially be this upcoming Saturday in college football. These are not predictions. These are more so getting a gauge for where things stand heading into the weekend. So for week 12, man, we had a little noon kick. Michigan at Maryland. Maryland is a 19-point dog. And the reason why this is on the forecast for us, there is just enough weird going into this game externally to make it a weird result. The whole Jim Harbaugh thing, at the time of us recording this, or time of us being live rather, we don't know if he's going to be on the sideline. We don't know if he's going to coach in this game, if he's going to be watching from a hotel somewhere, watching at the house, watching with his chickens. I don't know what Jim Harbaugh is going to be doing if he's in this game or not. So that leaves some uncertainty there. How does that impact the game? Also, you have a classic sandwich of letdown spot from a big win over Penn State, and then the look-ahead spot with Ohio State next weekend. So for Michigan here, how do they handle that? Typically, if we're just using our common sense here, there would be a little bit of uneasiness baked into this. Also, Maryland, 280 pass yards a game. Y'all, that's pretty good. Talia Tagovailoa, he can sling the pill around the yard. If we see Maryland start fast and create some turnovers, that's the key piece of this now. If they can create some turnovers, this could be interesting in the fourth quarter. Remember now, this week, a season ago, Maryland in this same spot gave Ohio State all they could handle. Maryland ultimately lost that game. And then you look at Michigan in the same spot a year ago, played a better Illinois team than what they'll see against Maryland, but still had a little letdown there. So how do they look? We'll see. The main thing in this game is, you got to stop the run if you're Maryland, right? You got to have some way to just not get absolutely bullied around the yard with Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards on that offensive line. I don't think it's about stopping the run so much as it is about creating extra possessions. This Maryland defense now taking the ball away 2 times a game. So don't worry about stopping the run. Just get the ball back is my thought of a Maryland, and capitalize when you do that. So keep an eye on that one. Still think Michigan wins the game, but that's definitely one to watch when it comes to this whole upset forecast. Let's stay in the state of Mississippi for this one. I say stay in the state of Mississippi. I mean, both these teams are from Mississippi. You got Mississippi State hosting Southern Miss. Southern Miss is a 14-point dog going to Starkville. I just wonder where Mississippi State's at when it comes to dealing with the circumstances surrounding their team. Because Zach Arnett is fired now, and Southern Miss, They're not great this season, but hey, don't look now. A little bit hot. Won their last two. Where's the Mississippi State psyche at? Because anytime a head coach gets fired, or anytime you're losing mojo and don't have quite as much, juice internally after you just got throttled by A&M, I think two things can happen there. You have one, like a nothing to lose mentality, where the pressure you were feeling from weeks before of having to save your coach's job and all that, like that kind of dials back a little bit. Everyone's more loose. Everyone's a little bit more free, and you just go out there and ball with your boys, ball with your bros, if you will. Or there is like the mail it in mentality of, okay, well, maybe I'll transfer next year. Maybe we should all kind of just pack it. Do we really want to go and play in a bowl game? Like, is that really something we want to push for? Like, that's kind of the scenario you could find yourself in if you're Mississippi State. Also at Southern Miss, is that really going to get them up and go? I'm just saying, I'm curious to see how Mississippi State handles that. If they handle it like some pros, then they'll be in good shape and they'll win the football game. But if not, Southern Miss will hang around, and it'll be interesting come the fourth quarter. Talking about an interesting game now, Texas goes to Iowa State at night. Jack Trice Stadium, Ames, Iowa, a difficult place to be on the road. Iowa State is a 7.5-point dog at the crib. Jared Hufford made some headlines, a little bit of bulletin board material for Texas. Jared Hufford is a Iowa State lineman, and he basically just spoke his mind when asked about the Texas game this upcoming weekend. He said, I don't think they know what's coming for them. I don't think they have a full understanding of what this place is at night. And he also said, we want to give them a nice little parting gift as they leave for the SEC. Like, make no mistake about it, Iowa State has a little bit of a quiet confidence, or maybe not so quiet confidence based on this bulletin board material. But this is their Super Bowl. And that's not to talk down on Iowa State. Texas has been everyone's Super Bowl. Oklahoma has been everyone's Super Bowl as they leave for the SEC next year. You want to give them a little bit of, a little bit punch to the gut before they leave your conference. Like he was very clear and said, Texas, they just think they're better than everybody else. And, that was kind of the sentiment he was saying. And so this tells me a couple things. One, Iowa State is going to bring it. Second, Texas better bring it themselves. Like, this game has to matter as much to Texas as it does to Iowa State. Because we've seen the last couple of weeks for Texas now kind of just tread water, stay afloat. And that was okay when Quinn Ewers wasn't in the lineup. Last week, I think it was even okay because it was his first game back and they were up on TCU by a fair margin and they came back in the game. But, this has to be the moment for Texas where I see a little kick from them. Okay, we've tread water. Our quarterback had one game to get acclimated now. Sounds like he's probably coming back. Let's lock in now. Let's handle business. Because this is a spot now for Texas. If you don't bring it, if you just kind of stroll through a few quarters and kind of mess around in the fourth quarter like we've seen the last couple of weeks, Iowa State in that place at night is enough to leave you going back to Austin with an L. That spread, I think, indicates how Vegas feels with it being 7.5. So one-score game in that sense. Keep an eye on that one. Again, has to be as important to Texas as it is to Iowa State. Now, Florida goes to Missouri. In Missouri, we just talked about them in the last segment, standing on business, Eli Drinkwitz and company. The Ricky Bobby rule, winners do what they want. He did what he wanted. And Florida now is going to have a chance, I think, to try and catch Missouri slipping a little bit. Because Florida, man, this is true to the song they play in the fourth quarter there. They will not back down. We've seen that multiple times throughout Billy Napier's time there in Gainesville. This team will play for Billy Napier. Doesn't matter the score, doesn't matter the spot, doesn't matter what's at stake. They will go to war for Billy Napier. And Missouri now, if they're hung over a little bit from that win over Tennessee and they're feeling pretty good about being a top 10 team and the vibes are good and they're like, okay, we can kind of just roll through this thing. Florida has the personnel to beat them. Now, they may not have the better personnel, period, but I think in terms of what you would need to win this game, the way that Graham Mertz is playing, I think he's an extremely capable quarterback. We saw Florida push LSU a little bit there last week. I'm just saying, if the defense can hold up their end of the bargain in this game and Missouri doesn't start fast and doesn't have that same hunger we saw against Tennessee and against Georgia, they could get beat. This could be one of those surprising Billy Napier, put the stake in the ground kind of moment for the Gators. So keep an eye on that one. I think that's one to watch. And just by nature of the spots here, there's a couple of interesting ones. Like I said, Michigan, Missouri, both kind of in the hangover spots. Mississippi State, where are they at psychologically after the coach getting fired? Then Texas, hey, we got to stop treading water now. We got to get on a boat, got to find shore, we got to put our feet underneath us if we're Texas. and Iowa State will obviously test that. So those are the upsets that we're keeping an eye on for this upcoming weekend. We're not predicting them. We're just saying keep an eye on those upsets as we move into Week 12 of the college football season. Hey, thanks so much for everyone that's watching live. Hey, if you're watching on podcast, we appreciate y'all. Because if you're watching on podcast, you're saying, hey, look, I cannot make the live show. I got work, I got school, I got class, I got something going on where I can't be dialed in at 11 a.m. Eastern on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. One, all good. Wish you could be here. You're missing out on seeing the great Nick break. You're missing out on being in the live chat, but it's all good. The fact that you're making a point to dial in is like, hey, I'm not making excuses. I'm being accountable to this operation. I'm being accountable to myself to be dialed in during college football season. And for that, we salute you and we appreciate you and we're glad to have you part of this. So Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, you can listen to The Hard Count. You type in The Hard Count with J.D. Pickell and it will pop up for you. So good looking to those platforms for making that happen. And good looking to y'all listening via podcast. All right, so let's move along here. If you could like the video as well. We're charging towards 200 or towards 100 likes before we get off the air. Just got to say it again because we're just rolling towards that, and this is a little bit of a lighter day, if you will, when it comes to what y'all got going on Thursday. So go ahead and like the video. We appreciate y'all for that. Let's move along here, though. Let's talk about Deion Sanders. Because Deion Sanders is a name that is going to get thrown around a lot in these head coaching jobs that are open already or that are, maybe going to be open in the future. Like Texas A&M has already been a storyline that's floated around with Deion Sanders. He put out a graphic that basically said, like, hey, I'm here. I'm not going anywhere is the way that I interpreted that graphic. But it's not going to stop. Like Deion Sanders will continue to be a name in every single conversation, more or less, for high-profile jobs for, I wonder if they would take a chance on Deion. Or I wonder if Deion would take a chance on them. And to be real, this makes a ton of sense. We'll talk about it right now. Make sure you're subscribed to the On3 YouTube channel, talking college football, only college football every single day. This is a place where we celebrate the sport. We don't do the hot takes, the agendas, the negative stuff. Like we talk about ball and only ball here. We love college football. You love college football, and we appreciate y'all being dialed in accordingly. Like I was saying, makes a ton of sense. Makes a ton of sense why Deion Sanders would be on the wish list for a lot of these schools that are looking for head coaches. Like he flipped an entire roster at Colorado and made them relevant, made them competitive. Outside of the Oregon game, they've been in every single game they've played in. And so that the thing with what he's done so far at Colorado is a testament to why you would want him at your spot. Because you see the trajectory of Colorado in the long run if they keep acquiring talent. Like Deion Sanders is built for modern college football. He's cool. He crushes it on social media. The entire coverage of Colorado as a whole has just bolstered so much because of him. Electric personality. He acquires talent. That's the key thing here. He acquires talent. And in the day and age of where we are right now in college football, that is like a non-negotiable. You can have as good a culture as you want, but there is a ceiling to culture. Talent is what gets you in the building when you talk about college football playoff, berths and national title conversations. So that's why you would want a guy like Deion Sanders. You take him to College Station, he would acquire great talent. You take him to Fargo, North Dakota, he would acquire great talent. He's doing it right now. I don't think North Dakota State's probably taking a chance on Deion Sanders. I don't think that's probably a match we'll see anytime soon, but the sentiment remains the same. When it comes to acquiring talent, Deion Sanders will do that and he will knock it out of the park. But I think we need to use a different lens when we assess what Deion Sanders' next move could be. Because everyone wants to guess that he's going to just jump at the next big job that becomes available. Hey, he's got some juice right now on the, coaching market. A lot of people think he could be a guy that could fit somewhere else. Like, I don't think this is a situation where Deion Sanders is just looking for the next big logo. Like, Deion Sanders, I think, has just different priorities than the majority of other head coaches. Kind of like Dan Lanning said, you can't assess Deion Sanders like you assess other head coaches. Because I think for Deion Sanders, there's a different level of investment for him with the jobs that he takes. Like Jackson State, there was a specific reason why he took that job. Yes, he wanted to be a head coach in college, but he wanted to invest in what HBCUs were. He wanted to invest in what Jackson State was. He wanted to make an impact. And I think it's the same thing at Colorado. He wants to flip that whole operation and build it into something. Like he's a part of the build. He's invested. And to be real now, we kind of forget this with Deion Sanders because, again, we assess him like a normal head coach. Deion Sanders has nothing to prove when it comes to the football world. Like Deion Sanders, I promise you, he's good. He's got a gold jacket. He's not worried about what you think about him when it comes to being a college football head coach or the college football world in general or the football world in general. Deion Sanders, his name, it carries weight. So what does that tell us? It means he genuinely does this because he wants to. And when you genuinely want to do something, by nature of the job that he's in and by the way that he's done this job, it feels like there's a genuine investment in the roster for Deion Sanders in terms of the guys that he has in-house right now. Now, make no mistake, there was a fair amount of portal activity going out of Colorado for a reason as well. But, I mean, with the guys that are in this room now, I think if you are bought into Deion, he'll buy into you. And so what that means is when you have greater investment in some place, it's harder to leave, right? It's easier to move away from somewhere after 6 months because you're not very invested than it would be after 4 years. Same thing with Deion Sanders. I'm not talking about the time. I'm talking about with what he's put into Colorado and what his vision is for Colorado and the guys that he's brought to Colorado. I'll say this too. Deion Sanders will not leave Colorado until Travis Hunter is gone to the NFL. So what, 1 to 2 years. Shedeur Sanders, same thing. He's not leaving before his son's done playing college football. And a big part of that, Travis Hunter, if Deion Sanders were to take a job this coaching cycle and be somewhere else, he wouldn't be able to go with him with tremendous certainty. Like you could transfer, but his eligibility would be a question. And, I mean, the whole Tez Walker situation should serve as a pretty good warning for why you would not want to make that kind of pivot if you're Travis Hunter. Like, Deion Sanders cares about his guys. Obviously cares about his sons, clearly cares about Travis Hunter, and I think he cares about a lot of these guys on his football team for the most part. So, like I said, he's not leaving Colorado until the job is finished, quote unquote. Now, what does finished mean? Is that bowl game? Is that conference title? I don't know. But I do think that the feeling is there's still something to be done at Colorado. Again, I'll say this again. He will not leave for a quote unquote better job. What looks like a better job to us may not look like a better job to Deion Sanders. Because Deion Sanders, he's wired for greatness. And that sounds kind of funny to say out loud, but like you look at the track record of what he's done. Dude played Major League Baseball. Guy was NFL Hall of Famer. The best at his craft. And he said this, I mean, out loud. He does not settle for mediocrity. It's not how he was, created, was Deion Sanders. And so the reason why that's important is anyone who's wired for greatness, they have high standards. And what is high standards also known as? Being high maintenance. In the most positive way possible, Deion Sanders is high maintenance. And what I mean for that when it comes to the job, it would take the right job. It would take the right location. It would take the right timing in terms of what he did at Colorado already. And I think it would take the right situation for what's around that job. Like Texas A&M, in my mind, didn't make sense from the jump, not just because of what he's done at Colorado to this point, but because at Texas A&M, there's a few more hands in the kitchen there than you probably would like if you're Deion Sanders. Just full transparency, Deion Sanders, we've seen he wants to do things his way. And so far to this point at Colorado, we've seen some results from his way of doing things. Who can fault Deion Sanders for that? He doesn't just want to take a job that puts him in a better spot. I think for him, he wants to take a job that's actually going to be better for him as a whole and for his family and for his situation. Like sometimes you see coaches take jobs and you'll hear crazy things about, well, yeah, they went to that job, they being the staff and that head coach, but head coach's family was still where he was previously because the kids had to finish school and the kids were finishing up, their senior year of high school, whatever. That's not how Deion Sanders operates, to my understanding. Like when Deion Sanders takes a job, he embeds himself into that community, into that school, into that culture. Like he's all the way in. And so what I'm trying to say is he won't make a pivot because of what's happened already at Colorado. He's got a little bit of momentum on the coaching carousel circle. I think it would take, like I said, right situation, right timing, after the right season for Colorado. And just by nature of how I feel about this, I think it would take the right location. Like I think it would take somewhere in the state of Texas. It's funny because we just talked about A&M, but I think it would take somewhere in the state of Texas in the future to get him to leave Colorado. I think it would take somewhere in the state of Florida to get him to leave Colorado. I don't think he's just going to jump for the next spot because he's building something at Colorado that now has some momentum, now has some staying power, and he's got some people there on his roster that he really cares about. And I think he wants to see that through. So what's Coach Prime's next move? I don't know, but it's not happening for the next 1 to 2 years. He's not going anywhere this coaching carousel cycle. He is, like he said in his graphic, he is there in Boulder, Colorado, and he's not pivoting anytime soon. So we'll keep an eye on Coach Prime and what he's got going on. I expect him to once again just absolutely ravage the portal and probably get himself some good linemen to go protect Shedeur Sanders, and expect Colorado to build upon what they did this past season. Kind of the way that he operates. All right, now, Shedeur Sanders early in the season was getting some Heisman Trophy buzz, and it was well-deserved. I mean, dude was balling. He probably could be by nature of what NFL guys are saying, NFL draft guys are saying, like, could have been within those top 5 quarterbacks taken. Deion Sanders making it very clear, no, he's coming back. He's coming back. We're gonna have another year under our belt here in Boulder. Another reason why he won't leave. But C.J. Stroud said on, I believe it was Tom Brady's podcast, that if Marvin Harrison Jr., Ohio State wide receiver, doesn't win the Heisman Trophy, thing is rigged. And you love this from C.J. Stroud if you're an Ohio State fan. Or if you're just Marvin Harrison Jr., period. Like, that's your quarterback going to bat for your guy. I love that. Good teammate move by C.J. Stroud. All about it. To be honest, Marvin Harrison Jr., as much buzz as we're hearing around Michael Penix Jr. and Bo Nix and Jaden Daniels, like Marvin Harrison Jr. very well could win the Heisman. But the thing about the Heisman is it's a snapshot award, meaning the way that you win this thing is by making big-time moments happen in November. You hear about Heisman moment. It's about stages. And the big stage for Marvin Harrison Jr. now, before they give away that award, will be the game against Michigan. So, I mean, his stats to this point have been phenomenal. 59 catches, over 1,000 yards, 12 touchdowns. He got a rushing touchdown. People are going to say, well, Malik Neighbors has better stats. You're not wrong. Marvin Harrison Jr., though, I think has better stages, has more stages. And so if he goes out and has like 3 touchdowns against Michigan, this conversation picks up some steam, and maybe Marvin Harrison Jr. doesn't win the Heisman. I don't know. He's been phenomenal all season long. However, I think Marvin Harrison Jr. is the best player in college football right now. Just pure player, pure talent. Top 3 pick probably. If I had to bet on one person playing college football right now to be a Hall of Famer in the future, I'd take Marvin Harrison Jr. and I wouldn't think twice about it. Now, with that being said, he's the best player in college football, but Jaden Daniels is having the best season in college football, and he deserves to win the Heisman Trophy. Now, a lot of people are going to say, well, they've lost this many games, and Jaden Daniels hasn't, kept his team undefeated. Like, I don't care about that. We've seen other people win the Heisman Trophy with multiple losses as well. But the way that he is performing right now, he's going to be in elite company here after the regular season of a group of quarterbacks that have run for over 1,000 yards and thrown for over 3,000 yards. Y'all, that's stupid. Again, single-digit guys have done that throughout college football history. Guys like Johnny Manziel and Vince Young being in that elite group. Take him off of LSU's roster, how many games does LSU win? Like right now, they have a potential to win 9. If Jaden Daniels isn't their quarterback, how many are they winning? 7? Maybe? Like, what he means to LSU cannot be overstated, and he's just having a ridiculous season. He deserves to win the Heisman Trophy. Now, here's the problem. Here's the issue right now. I think a lot of people feel this way. I don't think this is really a hot take when it comes to Jaden Daniels being the guy for us to win the Heisman. However, we talked about it. It's a stages award. It's all about having the platform, having the eyes of the country upon you, and being able to make a push and make a statement to everybody watching, hey, I am the guy. The problem with this situation now is Jaden Daniels will not have really another big game, but he won't have that last data point that Marvin Harrison Jr. will likely or potentially have, depending on how that Michigan game goes, and other people will have that we're going to talk about here in a second. Having a ridiculous season. But the lack of data points he's going to have compared to his competitors could end up being the issue for him. So the mission for him right now, where they got Georgia State and Texas A&M the rest of the way, let's ball. Let's turn the volume up so loud on this Heisman Trophy campaign if we're Jaden Daniels and LSU to where you can't ignore it. A thing where, like after the Notre Dame game, where we pretty much knew Caleb Williams was going to win the Heisman even if they didn't beat Utah, that's the kind of feel I would like Jaden Daniels to create for Heisman voters across the landscape after they finish that game against A&M. Now, who's going to win the Heisman from where we're standing? I think it's going to be Bo Nix. And right now, he is the overwhelming favorite when it comes to Vegas. I think he was like minus 110 odds to win the Heisman. He also likely has that extra data point. And to be clear, I would be okay with this. Like, as much as we think Jaden Daniels is having the best season in the country, Bo Nix and what he's done for Oregon, and if they do end up winning the Pac-12 title and they have a college football playoff berth, Like, it would be because of Bo Nix. Like, yes, he's got a great team around him. Yes, they've got a great coach. They're great on the line of scrimmage, but he is the straw that stirs that drink. And also, it's not just a thing like he's along for the ride. He's putting up some pretty phenomenal numbers himself as well. The Utah win gave him some juice. The Heisman moment for him, without question, has to come against Washington in that Pac-12 title game, should they find themselves there. Now, we're talking about Washington, and a lot of people are saying, well, JD, what about Michael Penix Jr.? Shouldn't he win the Heisman? He has a chance to. I firmly believe that. I believe he's right now second when it comes to the betting odds. And if they beat Oregon and he puts up like 5 touchdowns passing, maybe he does win the Heisman. But my issue with Michael Penix Jr., I'm going to sound like a hater here, but that's okay. He's had 0 passing touchdowns in 2 separate games. 2 separate games. I understand the Heisman, it's a November award, but you still got to keep pace from September all the way up until November. Having your quarterback, I don't want to say go missing, but have a 0 in the box score next to passing touchdowns on 2 separate games, to me, that is enough to be like, hey, one of the best players in the country, probably will be drafted and have a great NFL career as well, you would imagine. And what he's done cannot be, denied how impressive it is. But again, to have 2 separate games with that kind of stat line, that gives me cause for concern. And that, to me, is the edge for a Jaden Daniels or a Bo Nix or Marvin Harrison Jr. to overtake where he's at right now in this Heisman race. But again, it's a stages game. If he pops on the right stage, it could be his award. And we might come in here on a Sunday morning and talk about it and say, yeah, Michael Penix Jr. won the Heisman last night because of what he did against Oregon or whatever it ends up being. So the Heisman is not rigged if Marvin Harrison Jr. does not win. But he, again, I think will have the best NFL career of anyone playing college football right now. Jaden Daniels should win the Heisman from where we're standing. And Bo Nix, I think, will win the Heisman when it's all said and done. So that's our thoughts on it. Heisman race rounding into its final stretch. And that's what we love November football for, baby. Awards season, conference title season, scenario season. It's all right now very much so intact. And we're going to watch it all play out. Okay, now, let's keep this good thing rolling. We do it every single Thursday, and this Thursday is no different. Our final thoughts, our final predictions for Week 12 of the college football season. This last segment, we just talked a lot about Jaden Daniels and his prospects to potentially winning a Heisman Trophy and making a push for that. If I'm Brian Kelly and I'm Mike Denbrock, I think you let Jaden Daniels cook as long as possible against Georgia State. For the reasons we just said. They're not going to get that extra data point in the SEC title game, whereas Bo Nix, Michael Penix Jr., Marvin Harrison Jr. all could have a chance to still play in their conference title game and have a chance to take the Heisman Trophy. But it's not just because you want Jaden Daniels to win it because you like Jaden Daniels. It's not just a thing where, like, hey, we love what he's done for this team so far, and he's earned the right to play for it. Like, that's absolutely true, too. If that isn't baked into it, I think you're looking at it the wrong way. But let's just take that part out of it. Let's take the personal equation out of it for Jaden Daniels. Even from a selfish perspective, if I'm Brian Kelly, it is in your best interest long-term at LSU for Jaden Daniels to win the Heisman Trophy, to leave him in there and put up numbers against Georgia State. Because now the optics around LSU, I think, would change in a rather drastic way, rather positively. Because then you have not one, but 2 Heisman Trophy winning quarterbacks coming from your school in the modern college football era. Joe Burrow and then Jaden Daniels. Also, look at Jaden Daniels where he was previously last season, where they're throwing for like 85 yards in one game. And then the step he's taken, the rather 3 or 4 steps he's taken to being the best quarterback in the country right now at LSU. Speaks to the development, speaks to Mike Denbrock and his offense and the way that they have propelled his game since he got there from Arizona State. I think you stamp a Heisman Trophy on top of all of that. That's a pretty nice recruiting tool. If I'm a 4 or 5 star quarterback somewhere in the country watching LSU, I might consider going to Baton Rouge a little bit more seriously if I see what Jaden Daniels has done and it has the validity of a Heisman Trophy on top of all of it. You can look at numbers, you can look at highlight tape and all that, but tell you what, man, Heisman Trophies, not much more to say if you're holding one of those on a recruiting visit and taking a picture with it. So I think that could probably boost LSU forward in terms of recruiting signal callers going forward. So my final thought there, let Jaden Daniels cook. Let him cook. I mean, leave him in as long as possible. Let him put up 6 touchdowns. Let him go crazy and have a road to glory kind of day against Georgia State. Now, Michigan. Talked about him a little bit earlier in this live show as well. Curious case against Maryland. Letdown spot after Penn State, look ahead spot to Ohio State, Maryland on the road. Maybe it's feisty. Who knows what happens with Jim Harbaugh? My thought here is I think we just see Michigan double down on who they are yet again. I think they want to limit the possessions for Taulia Tagovailoa, but as the old poem goes by Maya Angelou, when someone tells you who they are, believe them the first time. Michigan told us who they were last weekend. They had some trouble running the football at some point early in the game against Penn State. Oh, are they going to start throwing the football? No, they're just going to add more big bodies to that formation. They're going to get downhill, and they're going to make you say uncle. They did that against Penn State. I think right now they're going to do that again against Maryland. And so, one, they're going to do that is what I want to make sure we say. I think they, once again, play bully ball up front. The second thing I want to say is there's going to be a lot of takes now coming out again from the digital media space saying, well, J.J. McCarthy, I guess, can he be the guy to get them to a national championship? Is he really that good? They don't trust him to throw the football downfield. Don't listen to those. That's not true. You got people crafting a narrative around a stat line without actually watching the game. Last weekend, we heard the same thing. J.J. McCarthy, man, he's not a great thrower of the football. Really? Had one incompletion, went 7 for 8. Did some things with his legs to propel that offense forward. It's not about J.J. McCarthy. It's about this team. And J.J. McCarthy, to take it a step further, he understands it's about this team. J.J. McCarthy was juiced after they beat Penn State. There was no pouting, even though they probably just torpedoed his Heisman Trophy chances. He's about this team. So J.J. Daniels, J.J. McCarthy and the numbers that he puts up is not important to him, and it's not more important than winning to him. So Michigan, once again, will play bully ball because of this situation, because it's who they are, first. Second, because there's a lot of weird going on around this whole situation. And when things get weird, you lean into what's stable, what's certain. And what's certain for Michigan is those big bodies up front, those running backs in the backfield, taking over those linebackers against Maryland, I'm sure. And that'll be a lot of fun to watch. So expect that from Michigan. Let's guard against the J.J. McCarthy and all that good kind of takes, because you're going to hear them a lot, I promise you. Georgia now. Big game against Tennessee, at Tennessee. I think we leave this Saturday saying, hey, Carson Beck, he is very firmly in that Heisman conversation. We just talked about the Heisman Trophy a second ago with Penix Jr. and Marvin Harrison Jr. A lot of juniors in this year's Heisman Trophy race. Bo Nix, Jaden Daniels, Carson Beck, I think, will enter that chat a little bit more firmly after this weekend, because we talk about stages and we talk about having momentum. I think he's built some momentum over the last couple of weeks with the game against Missouri and the game against Ole Miss. This game against Tennessee, once again, national stage. It is the game in that 3:30 Eastern slot. You got a ranked Tennessee team. You're on the road. If he goes out there and puts up numbers yet again, like he's done all season long, I think you'll see him in that top 3 category for the Heisman Trophy. I really do, because when it comes to what the Heisman is, yes, he's the best player in the country, but it's also the best player on the best team. That's why Jaden Daniels is getting so much pushback right now, and we don't agree with it. But even so, the way that Carson Beck's playing right now, he's put himself in position to capitalize on all his momentum. Like, it's not the most flashy. It's not Pat Mahomes running right, throwing left, no-look passes. It's not going to be a bunch of SportsCenter top 10 plays. But look at that stat line. Dude's throwing over 300 yards a game. Just delivers every single time. He's not the most flashy, like I said. Like, if you have an issue with Carson Beck, it's from the boring side of things. But usually greatness can be kind of boring. It's true. We talk about Alabama those last couple of years when they were reeling off national championships. A.J. McCarron's playing quarterback. Jacob Coker's playing quarterback. It's not always flash that ends up being the thing that produces greatness. Usually it's substance. And Carson Beck, whole lot of substance. He'll deliver again this weekend. He'll be in that Heisman Trophy conversation again. Does he win it? I don't know if they have enough, like I said, flash, to be honest. But he should be in that conversation, and he will be in it after this weekend. Final thought here for Week 12. I think we find out if Texas is actually a playoff team this weekend. And I'm not talking about scenarios. I'm not talking about if they win this game, they're going to be in the college football playoff. They could win this game and still leave some questions about, do they have what it takes to line up in that top 4? Because the thing about playoff teams and the teams that we know are going to be playoff teams, like, they don't play with their food in November. In November, you don't limp through that month and then find your way into the college football playoff, and then you're in good shape. And I'm not talking about losing your conference title game. TCU lost a conference title game a season ago and still found their way into the college football playoff. but I don't think Texas is striving to be what TCU was last year. That's no shade to TCU, but going back to this point with Texas, this is a very tricky situation, going to a tough place to play. They've tread water the last couple of weeks, some of it without Quinn Ewers. This last game against TCU was with Quinn Ewers. There has to be the kick here now, this last week. This has to be the game where you say, you know what? Last couple of weeks wasn't us. We found a way to get it done. It was gritty, it was grimy, and we found a way to win football games. But right now on the road, in our most vulnerable spot in terms of like the tough spot that it is to play against Iowa State at night, we put our foot down, we handle business, full throttle forward. If they go in there and just blow out Iowa State, it helps check that eye test box a little bit as well for the committee. But I think as a whole, it would just tell me a lot about, okay, hey, under the hood, this Texas team has got it. At times, if they left more to be desired, sure. But this Texas team has got it. So I think we find out a lot about where they are internally. Not that the culture is the problem, not that the culture is not still rock solid at Texas, but it is a little bit about, okay, do we have that championship DNA? And a lot of that, I think, will be predicated on what Quinn Ewers does. Is he that differentiating factor? Is he that kick for Texas to put him over the hump past Iowa State and then put a good trajectory for them when it comes to the college football playoff? So those are our final thoughts for Week 12. Let's enjoy the heck out of this college football Saturday, make it the greatest we've ever had, and we'll keep on sprinting towards the finish line, enjoying it every step of the way. Hey, appreciate y'all that are tuned in live, man. This is a blast, an honor and a privilege to be part of your day, talking college football, as we do every single day, but it's a blast to have y'all here and to do this together. So, about to go to the live chat here in just a minute. We got 2 ad reads for you, probably right around 60 seconds apiece. Get those questions in right now. Nick Brake will be queuing those up. We'll answer them accordingly. So right now, get those questions in. Make sure you like the video as well as you submit that question, and we'll make sure we get to it as soon as possible. First things first, though, got to tell y'all about Game Time. Game Time is bringing y'all the hard count today, and we are right on the cusp now of conference title season. And me personally, there was a point in time where I wanted to go to a conference championship game. Wanted to go. Was fired up to go. And at this point in time, there were tickets that were allotted to students that I thought I had a chance to maybe find my way into getting. The queue opened up, tickets went like that, and I'm like, geez, man, are we going to go to this game? We did end up going in the second to last row, but that all could have been avoided if I had just used Game Time and bought tickets ahead of time, because Game Time, they're going to get you the best tickets for the best prices, and that's guaranteed. They're obsessed with finding ways to save you money. I wouldn't have had to wait up to the last minute to wait till student tickets open up. I could have just bought tickets via the Game Time app with like 2 taps, and it would have been phenomenal. The Game Time guarantee means you'll always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section or row for less, Game Time, they'll credit you, listen to this, 110% of the difference. Also, get the view before you buy the ticket so you don't end up sitting behind the Jumbotron and seeing like a fraction of the game from your seat. That's the worst. Game Time, again, they'll let you see where you're sitting from a view perspective before you even purchase the tickets. So, here's where it gets important. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code HARDCOUNT for $20 off your first purchase. That's HARDCOUNT. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code HARDCOUNT for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices, guaranteed. A great way for y'all to support the show. And so we appreciate y'all in advance for rocking with Game Time, because they're rocking with us, and in that way, they're rocking with all of us. So, we appreciate Game Time. Again, get those questions in right now. We'll answer them here in a matter of 60 seconds. And we appreciate y'all so much in advance for that. So before we get to that, though, got to tell y'all, HelloFresh is bringing y'all the hard count today. And HelloFresh, what is HelloFresh? You get farm fresh, pre-portioned ingredients, seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. You don't got to do the whole thing where you drive down the street to the grocery store and you sort through, if they have what you need or they don't have what you need. Skip all that. HelloFresh, make it easy. Again, right to your doorstep. And they make home cooking easy and fun, affordable. And that's why it is America's #1 meal kit. Crazy schedule, right? We all got it during college football season. The fall, you got the holidays coming up. You probably have things going on with, getting to family functions. And so it's difficult to make sure that we get the groceries that we want to. And sometimes you settle for bland and kind of the same thing over and over again. That chicken and rice recipe that you've made for the last 3 days in a row. Listen, I've been there. HelloFresh, they have 40 recipes to choose from every single week, so there's always something delicious and new on the menu with them. Also, when you turn on HelloFresh Market for yummy add-ons, enjoy the season's limited time fall flavors lineup. All right, so you're not gonna have to deal with, just again the blandness of what you're buying at the grocery store. You're able to go with the seasonal recipe they got going for you on their menu. Stuff like pork nachos, little mini pumpkin cheesecake. I'm telling you, they'll get you right, and they'll get you also right from a seasonal standpoint, having food matching the time of year. So, for me personally, this last, I guess it was a week ago or so, wife came home. She gets home from work after I do. I'm telling y'all, man, I was husband of the year for having HelloFresh already ready, whipped up, ready to go. And she was impressed by like the meal that I made in itself. I believe it was a little pad thai for us. It tasted great. It was easy to make, and it was something new on the menu for us, and she really enjoyed it. So for all my husbands of the year or aspiring husbands of the year, HelloFresh, the way to get that done. So go to HelloFresh.com/50JD and use code 50JD for 50% off plus free shipping. Okay, so go to HelloFresh.com/50JD, use code 50JD for 50% off plus free shipping. All right, America's #1 meal kit, gonna take care of you, taking care of us, taking care of the hard count. Lock in with HelloFresh. We appreciate them making that happen. All right, bringing on now, arguably the freshest in the entire producing game, saying hello to the man, Nick Brake. Nick Brake, how we doing, brother?
What's up, man? Let's get to some questions,
Let's do
JD. This first one coming from Caleb, JD. What did I say last week about Brock Bowers? I said he was coming back. Nobody believed me in the chat, and he did. Go Dogs.
He did. Yeah, he might have had some insider trading there. Yeah, I did not think Brock Bowers was going to be back. What we said on this show in response to that was, if he comes back, amazing. Be pleasantly surprised, enjoy it. But the fact that he's back at the point that he's back, we thought maybe Tennessee would be the earliest you could see him. I was thinking, hey, save him for the SEC title game. Like, you'll need 19 at that point. The curious thing now is Brock Bowers, I don't think he's probably like 100%. I don't know that to be true. He looked pretty good out there, but you would imagine he's still probably getting back to where he wants to be personally for Brock Bowers. And so as he gets better and back into a rhythm, he'll be in rhythm by the time they play Alabama in Atlanta. That's scary. That's going to be a movie. And, yeah, he's balling right now. So he called it. Our man called it in the chat.
Yeah.
They're on fire.
Yeah, well done. This next question, this one's coming from Evan. JD, do you think that Florida will fire Billy Napier within the next season? They may not go bowling this year and are losing commits to Georgia and Ohio State, including one today. He is currently a losing record, 11-12 all-time. Does this time next year, JD, is Billy Napier the coach of Florida?
This time next year obviously depends a lot on what happens next year. I don't think he's fired after this season. Like, that to me would feel knee-jerky. I understand there's high expectations because of the brand and because of the investment and all that. That's fair. That's fair to want better results. But I keep saying this, like, Billy Napier is at Florida for a reason. He's at Florida because the house wasn't in great shape when he got there, and now he's trying to restructure it, rebuild it, clean it up. It's a process. It takes a minute. And oh, by the way, it's tougher, and this is no shade on any other conference, it's tougher to get back to neutral and to build a house in an environment that is the SEC than what it would be in another Power 5 conference. So I'll leave it at that, but Billy Napier, I don't think he gets fired this season. And after next season, we'll have to circle back to this conversation and see where things are at in Gainesville, because we're just guessing at that point. But I personally am a Billy Napier guy. I would love to see him have success at Florida, and would love to see them, kind of get it rolling. I think it'd be fun if Florida were in that top tier in the college football landscape again. I think it'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely. JD, this is from Slade Swan. JD, thoughts on the Sunflower Showdown, Kansas State?
Yeah.
Who wins, JD?
How great is it that we have a game like this where both of the Kansases are relevant in college football? Like, Lance Leipold's done a tremendous job at Kansas. Chris Kleiman's crushed it at Kansas State. I'm going to lean Kansas State here. Not sure where we're at health-wise on the Kansas front, so I'm going to lean Kansas State. I like what they've got going in terms of just their identity and the way that they're built right now. Think it'll be a real good game. I love that the Sunflower Showdown is one we got to talk about. Ivan Maisel is someone who we talked with a lot last season. And last year he went to the Kansas State-Kansas game because it had impact. And he's like, I hadn't gone to this game since they played, and they were both like Ofer. They hadn't won a game to this point in the year, and I went to cover that game because it was a wild story. But he went last year because of the way these teams are trending. Encouraging to see them continue to trend in a positive way. So we'll take Kansas State, and we'll just enjoy that like everybody else. It'll be a lot of fun. I love it. Rivalry weekend starting early.
Absolutely. Shout out to Jay Floyo 11 being overwhelmingly positive today.
Let's go. That's your guy right there.
Great questions, everyone. Great job, Nick. Thanks, Nick. Great job, Nick.
Is that your burner?
It's
Jay
not.
Floyo?
It's got to be somebody's. But thank you very much for the positivity in the chat today. I'm a big fan. JD, let's get back into the Oklahoma State, not the Oklahoma State, but into the Big 12 stuff. Matthew says, JD, what do you make of Oklahoma State getting throttled in the bounce house at UCF? Will Texas Big 12 championship opponent be enough of a resume boost to get them in the playoffs? It's a weird conference.
Yeah, it's very bizarre. It's very bizarre. And that was something we talked about yesterday. Like, Texas could win out and still be left out of the college football playoff. Not because we want it to happen, not because we're rooting for that to happen, but because of what the Big 12 isn't bringing to the table with the rest of the conference for Texas. Like, if Oklahoma State shows up in the Big 12 title game, and let's just say they are a top 15 team at that point in time, I don't know if that's the springboard you want if you got Alabama who ends up beating Georgia and they're a one-loss conference champ. And it comes down to Bama and Texas, and you have that head-to-head, but the way that Texas is playing versus the way that Bama's playing and the stage they had, all those things. And also, to be clear, the committee likes Oregon a lot. And Oregon's going to have on paper at least, more formidable opponent from a ranking standpoint against Washington. So we'll see. We'll see. For Texas, handle business and hope and pray that Oklahoma State can move up those rankings and be as highly ranked as possible before you play them. But, yeah, it would make me nervous. It really would. Oklahoma State getting throttled by UCF was the last thing that you wanted to happen this past weekend. And John Rice Plumlee, Gus Malzahn stormed the bounce house, did the good folks at UCF. And, yeah, not great for the Big 12, not great for Texas as a whole.
Yeah, absolutely. JD, every time I see the commenter in the frequent chatter of Minecraft arenas, I can't help but get nostalgic thinking of my 8th grade year playing Minecraft in class and getting busted by my teacher for that every day. But anyway, shout out to Minecraft arenas. Good question here. I really like it. I was trying to find it and lost it for a second. Found it again. JD, love the show. What teams do you have winning the Big 10, Big 12, SEC, and ACC championships next year?
Next year. That was just the ultimate threw us into a tailspin. Man, next year?
No staying on the fence here, JD. I want answers
I don't even know who's winning it this year. We'll call our shot, though. Let's say Florida State keeps rolling. Let's say Florida State wins the ACC. Mike Norvell's going to be there, I would imagine. They'll probably kill it in the portal again. Let's say Florida State next year. Who else we got? The Big 12. The Big 12 is going to be interesting, man, because it's going to be a whole lot of new teams. You know what? Let's say Kansas State wins the Big 12 next year. Okay. Avery Johnson's a dog. Think they get rolling. Chris Kleinman, let's say he's still there. ACC, Big 10, Big 12. What's the last one they wanted? The SEC?
Yeah, just the Power Four.
Tough to not go with Georgia, man. I'm still going to say Georgia. Even though Bama is going to be Bama, I think, I'm still going to say Georgia. If I'm hedging a bet, I'm picking Georgia to win the SEC next year. How about that? How about a way too early?
Okay, so I'm just going to go crazy, and this isn't going to happen, but I'm going to say Colorado wins the Big 12 just because it segues into this question by Nick H.
Yeah.
Does Colorado emerge next season as a top 25 team after Deion works out the kinks? And assuming we get a good offensive line coming into Boulder in the transfer portal, JD.
I think you're on the money. I almost said Colorado for the sheer fact of what you just said because he gets another crack now at that transfer portal. And he's been clear during the season, like, hey, we're going to go get better offensive linemen. He's got the quarterback, which is the biggest piece in all of football. He's got Travis Hunter. If you can keep him healthy, he's a game breaker for you. Like, there really is no reason why Colorado can't win the Big 12 next year. You got the two most talented rosters leaving in Oklahoma and Texas. So if they can get the right pieces on the offensive line, Nick, just like you said a second ago, I think you nailed it right on the money. They're going to be in that. They're going to be right in that conversation. He's done a lot in a short time in the Pac-12 with how good the Pac-12's been. I mean, it's good vibes right now in Colorado.
Gee, I got my co-producer River in here. He produced Andy Staples' show.
That's the man right there, brother.
And yeah, doing some hard work behind me. What's up, River? This next question from OG Gary. This is kind of similar to the one I just asked. Let's fast forward to next season, assuming health and stays all intact. Who are your Power 4 champions and why? But we're going to go further. Since we already talked about that, I just want to go further since OG Gary also asked this question, say, who are the top 4 teams in all of college football next season, JD? Everyone's just ready to go.
Why are we already on next? I don't even know the top 4 teams this season.
College football is going to be awesome next season.
It's awesome this season too, but shoot, I mean, let's relish this.
Well, then let's just shout out OG Gary for asking a great question. Asked it like really at the same time as Minecraft Arenas. But JD, can you just give me
we'll rattle it off. Georgia, Ohio State, Oregon, Florida State.
Okay, there you go.
How about that?
I think we might have Jarrett Stidham's brother in the chat. His name is Jared Stidham, so shout out that. Also, Justin Timberlake's friend Mark Timberlake's here. Says, who do you think is going to win the national championship this season?
We got Georgia still.
Okay.
We still got Georgia. I think it's Georgia and Michigan. I talked to a friend of mine who's a big Georgia fan, and he was like, man, I feel nervous. I feel nervous about how Michigan matches up on the line of scrimmage. All totally fair. I still think Georgia's best game is out there somewhere.
Okay.
Still feel like it's out there somewhere. You know, I love seeing the control room packed. River, come say what's up to the people, man.
You're getting here.
Come say what's up.
This is River right here.
This is the man.
Hello,
everybody. Boys, are you in frame there?
I think just a little bit. Andy Staples on 3. Check it out tonight.
Yeah.
8 Eastern, 7 Central.
Yep.
We love it.
Hey, little conference check-in too on the channel right now for you.
Oh yeah.
Courtesy of Big River producing that thing, man.
Yep.
Had Andy Staples in Nashville, Nash Vegas, if you will. Chopped it up, talked to Power 5 conferences. Already on the channel, so go check that out. But River is the man. Hey, good to see just a full house back there.
Oh yeah.
Like the Olsen twins, full house, you know?
We are the Olsen twins.
Well, I mean, because they were in Full House, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jay Folio 11 says, great job, River.
Yeah.
He's just trying to be very positive today. JD, what do you say? 2 more questions?
Let's do it, man.
Get out of here.
Let's do it.
Okay. Well, White Boy Magic, Larry Bird says, hey, JD, if Washington was to lose to Oregon State and be a 1-loss Pac-12 champ, do you think they still get in since Oregon would also technically get in as a 1-loss Pac-12 champ in your eyes?
That is really tough.
You're going to say no. I already know.
That is really
Just
tough.
say it.
That is really tough. Because I guess the win over Oregon would boost you, but it does crack open the door. So the thing that you would want to not have happen is you have Alabama beat Georgia. If Alabama beats Georgia, I think they would get in over Washington. Now, if Georgia runs the table and there's a spot open for Washington and there's a 1-loss Pac-12 champ, it could happen. So that's the way that I feel about that. I think they're probably still in with 1 loss, but the eye test here is crucial. Like, they can't go get throttled in Corvallis. You know, like if you lose by double digits in November to another good team, like that's going to be it. That's going to be it. The too much recency bias, I think, for where things stand right now.
Absolutely. JD, this is not the last question because this is a yes or no question, but Evan was saying, are you guys going to go to the bounce house when they put the lazy river in? Where's that?
Heck yeah, if they got a lazy river.
Too into the deep college football.
Do you know you know lazy river?
I don't know any of that.
So a lazy river, and this is essentially
I know what a lazy river
is. Yeah. So
well, what's the bounce house?
So the bounce house is what they call UCF Stadium.
Okay, that's cool.
Rowdy.
And they're putting a lazy river in?
I don't know if it's going in the stadium, but if they're putting it in the stadium, let's find a way to get there.
That's pretty awesome.
That'd be sick.
That's pretty cool. Okay,
All about that.
Maybe the answer is yes.
I think it's got to be like a yes, but just when, not a if, but when kind of thing.
Absolutely. Okay, JD, got a question to close it out, but first shout out to Dawson. Says he, highlight of his day, driving home from work, loves being listening to the show. So shout out to Dawson right there.
Shout out Dawson. Appreciate you, brother.
Always nice to hear that. JD, why don't you say something while I find this last question?
Yeah, we can say something. Like I said, conference check-in on this channel. Andy Staples and I got in the studio, just went around the country, compared the Michigan situation to one of the best Netflix shows I'm watching right now, which is Suits. It's worth your time. Check that out. Big River produced it, and A lot of fun. So make sure you check that out. Also, if we don't get to your question today, we plug it fairly frequently on here on Thursdays.
Yeah.
We do a Q&A on my Instagram. So it's still answering your questions in video format. I'll post it early tomorrow morning on my social there, again, at JD Piquel on Instagram. If you want to get your question answered and we don't get to it today, follow me there, get your question in. We'll have a good time. And just go through Starbucks real quick, go a little seasonal drink, sit on the back porch, and we'll talk some ball. Just us and the folks on the gram, you know?
Okay, yeah, sounds good.
Are you a seasonal drink guy?
No, I don't drink coffee.
Is
And
that a
plus, I
flex?
don't go to Starbucks. I live in my neighborhood's got like 9 or 10 like really cool small coffee shops, so just go to those. My wife likes coffee, so.
You go no label. You go
No label.
coffee.
Yeah, a lot of great coffee shops in my neighborhood, so. Yeah. And I don't even know where the nearest Starbucks, probably on Broadway or something.
No, you think?
Yeah, there's not a lot near me.
Oh, okay. All right.
This
like it.
last question is from Joe, JD. Talking about a team near where I come from. The team's Louisville. What do you think it will take for the Cards to make the college football playoffs, JD? A little bit of help.
A little bit of help. I saw a graphic the other day, and I don't know how much stock we put into these, but someone put Louisville at like a 1% chance to make the college football playoff, which in my mind is probably factoring in their game against Florida State. Bottom line, you got to win the ACC. Like, that's the most obvious non-negotiable. Got to win the ACC. Got to do it with one loss. Got to probably be pretty convincing against a team like Florida State, pass the eye test. And I think you just hope for chaos. Like, there's probably a couple scenarios that would have to happen. If you can find a way to have a conference champion for the Big Ten from the Big Ten West, like you're probably buying out all the Iowa gear if you can and rooting for someone to knock off a Michigan or Ohio State in that game so you have a multiple-loss conference champion from there. That's probably the most direct line of thought in my mind, is you get Louisville in there somehow and you root for Iowa to just pull off a little Kirk Ferentz special. Punter has a big day at the office. I don't know. That's my first thought, though, and we'll you know what? We'll explore those scenarios again next Wednesday.
Yeah,
Big
let's
Picture
talk
Wednesday.
about some Louisville. That's a fun team.
Yeah, Jack Harlow and the boys, they're rolling.
Yeah.
Brom squad.
Yep.
Love it. Well, Nick, I appreciate you, brother. Hey, heck of a week. We'll see you on Sunday.
Oh, I'll see you Sunday morning, man.
Yes, sir.
Bright and early.
Yes, sir. Hey, Big Riv also making a cameo. We appreciate him being dialed in.
Yes, sir.
The man, the myth, the legend. The boys, man. Absolutely crushing it. Doing everything you see here, from producing to answering questions to punching it live to doing things even behind the scenes that don't even get talked about nearly enough. So we appreciate both Nick and River. Just program guys through and through. We appreciate y'all being dialed in. Let's enjoy the heck out of this. Not going to be that long from now to where we are once again counting down the days to 2024's college football season and tweeting pictures once we get inside of 100 days of different guys with the jersey number that corresponds with the number of days left for college football. Let's enjoy this. Slow it down. Enjoy every single Saturday, every single game that we get to watch. Let's soak it in. We appreciate y'all. We love y'all. Subscribe on your way out. I'm JD Piquel for Nick Brake, River Bailey. We appreciate y'all. We're going to keep this party rolling. We will see y'all.